What's going on, guys? Bengal again here, and coming back at you with another video. Today we have a very interesting one as I search for football content in any form in the month of July before Madden comes out in mid-August and before football really gets back into the swing of things. Although I will say some rookies are reporting to training camp today, so that's a very, very good start. But today we're going to be going over this account, F-Ball Takes. Shout out to them, and more specifically, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, guess the player. We have a player outline, we have their college, and then we have the teams they have played on in the NFL. And it seems like in most cases, it's two or more, sometimes fewer. If you guys want me to do another video like this, but with guess the team based off of different colleges, I will do my best to do that one as well. But today we're going to focus on guess the player. This was recommended to me to do on Twitter. I have not checked out the page other than to see that, yep, guess the player is on there, guess the team is on there. Thought it'd be good for a video. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, by the way, you can check out instagram.com/BengalYouTube. Link, as always, is in the description. And let's go ahead and just work our way down the page here. If you guys are new here, please hit that subscribe button as well. As we start off with a Syracuse player. Played for both the Patriots and the Cardinals. Was drafted in 2012. Now, my first thought was Chandler Jones here, as I'm trying to think of anyone who is big coming out of Syracuse. However, I'm looking at the outline of the player, and he just doesn't really look like a defensive end. I know Chandler Jones is technically an outside linebacker, but he's an edge rusher. He's like 270 pounds. Let's be real. He's a defensive end in a base 4-3 set. I don't really know any other options than Chandler Jones here. It just doesn't look like a defensive end to me, but I'm gonna say Chandler Jones. I think all the criteria fits. I think the timeline matches, and it is Chandler Jones. That one had to be a little bit weird for a second. Am I wrong to say he looks more like a safety or something? Now, obviously, he's not a skinny guy. I'm a skinny guy. He's not, but he looks, not as big as he is for some reason. But Chandler Jones is the right answer, so we're 1 for 1. We'll keep track. As we move on to number 2, we have Georgia Southern, we have the Chargers, and we have the Falcons. Looks like a kicker. I think this has to be Younghoe Koo. I don't think there's any way around that. Georgia Southern kicker, I think that matches up. Chargers, Falcons, missed 2018. That explains it. Looks like a kicker. Got to be Younghoe Koo. It is indeed Younghoe Koo. He's got patience tatted on his bicep. That's going to be important when you're a kicker, I guess. But we're 2 for 2 so far. Let me know how you guys do in the comments section below, by the way. I always love to see. As we might have our first challenge. No, we won't. This one I just knew right away. And also, this player outline feels so obvious. I remember watching him. He was a really solid player for the Sooners, as much as I hate the Sooners. He followed up Adrian Peterson, went to the Cowboys, won a rushing title, then went to the Eagles, another team I hate. I hate those 3 teams so much. As a Texas Longhorn and New York Giants fan, to see OU and then Dallas and then the Eagles, oh, it's just painful. Like, I know I have an Adrian Peterson jersey behind me. He's my favorite player of all time. He transcended how much I hated the Sooners because I was young enough at the time. And I just loved him as a player. He was awesome. But this has got to be DeMarco Murray. This has to be DeMarco Murray. Finished his career on the Titans. It is DeMarco Murray. But also, the outline looks exactly like him. He's just one of those guys that just holds the ball like that. Like, he and LaShawn McCoy probably are the two that come to mind holding the football like that. So we are 3 for 3 as we'll move on. And this one is another very, very obvious one. Michigan, 1995-97. Played for the Raiders, won Defensive Rookie of the Year, then went to the Packers, was a great corner for the Packers, and then came back to the Raiders to play safety. Won a Heisman at Michigan. This has got to be Charles Woodson. I don't really see any way around that. Just the timeline plus the teams. It is indeed Charles Woodson. Carrying the football, though, is a little strange. I see the comment now for Charles Woodson. Like, that was obvious. Is there any way I can get the comment to be off the screen? All right, so I got the comment off the screen by enlarging to 500%, and now this is how I have to scroll through here. It's not going to be too much of a problem. as this one, again, just seems like a very obvious one right off the bat. the arrow there's kind of blocking the Packers. But again, with the timeline of this, it's just very, very obvious. Started out in college at Southern Mizzou, right? Southern Mizzou? I think, yeah, Southern Missouri. Gotta be, right? Falcons, second-round draft pick. Then traded to the Packers. Was on the Packers forever. Then went to the Jets and Vikings. Retired a couple times in there. Gotta be Brett Favre. I mean, that's just who it is. Let's be real. It is indeed Brett Favre. See, the Younghoe Koo one should have been kind of hard, but I just happen to know it. I guess it's relevant. But the rest of these have been very easy. All right, here we go. Well, I was going to say this is probably going to be the first one that I didn't know right away, and then I know it right away. Played at Baylor from 2009 to 2010, was drafted by the Browns, and then was out of the league for 3 years. What is that gap between 2015 and 2016? Led the league in receiving in 2014. Then went to the Patriots, Seahawks. Isn't playing. Why is he on here? It's Josh Gordon. Yes, no, Stephen A. Stay off the weed. That's Josh Gordon. Yeah, no one else that could have been. Next up, I'm waiting to be stumped by one of these, but I feel like I know everyone instantly. This one, Cal, 94 to 96, was a big-time player for the Chiefs for a long time, and then finished his career with the Falcons, but was there for still a significant amount of time. It's got to be Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez, one of the best tight ends of all time, and that's exactly who it is. So we have not missed so far. So that is 7 for 7. I mean, come on with this one. Georgia, drafted by the Lions in 2009. I would bet number 1 overall. And then 2021 to present. Who's going from the Lions to the Rams for only this season? Oh, I don't know. Maybe one of the biggest trades that we've seen in a while in a swap. Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, of course. Georgia, Lions, Rams. Boom. Matthew Stafford. Okay, this one looks like a quarterback. See, 2020, the Colts is throwing me off. So my first thought when I saw 2010, or when I saw Florida State, Vikings, I thought, oh, Christian Ponder. Why would they be using Christian Ponder? And then I see the years. The years don't match up. So who was a quarterback at Florida State and then went to the Vikings? Is he not a quarterback? Has to be, right? Has to be with that picture. Vikings quarterback from 2013 to 2019. And then the Colts 2020 to present. This is going to be the first one that I'm stumped on so far. I'm trying to think of the Vikings 2013 draft class. They drafted 3 first-rounders. Oh. Rhodes closed. This is Xavier Rhodes. The Rhodes were open for a while. That just hit me. So the Vikings in 2013 drafted 3 first-rounders, I think. Xavier Rhodes, I want to say, was the first off the board. Sharif Floyd and Cordarrelle Patterson. The first thought was Cordarrelle Patterson as a Vikings first rounder that year, but he obviously did not go to Florida State. He was a Tennessee guy, I think, if I recall. And then, you know, obviously has not played for the Colts. So this to me just has to be Xavier Rhodes. Now the picture was throwing me off, but Xavier Rhodes, Florida State. Remember, this is first when I was starting to get into watching tape, and Xavier Rhodes, like this was the first year that I really did. Xavier Rhodes, like was good, just didn't get any interceptions, and back then, you know, I'm like, oh, the ball production's down. Like, maybe he's not amazing, but that, you know, now as you get older and you keep doing, you know, that ball production as a cornerback isn't as important. That's why, you know, a guy like Patrick Peterson in his prime is better than a player like J.C. Jackson in his prime right now. This is Xavier Rhodes. Dude, this really threw me off with the throwing motion. I thought it was a quarterback, but you finally landed on Xavier Rhodes. So that is 8 for 8. As we get to RG3, I mean, should I even bother with this? Baylor, Washington football team, of course, different name at the time. Then the Browns, back up now for the Ravens, and is a quarterback. Very obvious. Okay, running back, it looks like, for Alabama, 2012 to 2014. It's not a running back. He's just carrying the football. It's Amari Cooper. Raiders traded to the Cowboys. Amari Cooper. Could it be anybody else? I don't think so. Amari Cooper. It is indeed Amari Cooper. Okay, a little bit of an old school one here, but I do know it as well. BYU. With guys going to BYU, there's only so many players that are actually worth anything. This is a quarterback. As you can see, he is a lefty by the way he's carrying the football here. I guess in theory it could be in this hand, but it's not. You can tell that arm is like limp, and this one is upright for some reason. Started with the Bucks. Didn't stay with Tampa Bay for too long. Ended up going to the 49ers and played for the 49ers for some time. This is, of course, Steve Young. You know, one of the best, or actually not one of the best, the best player ever to come out of BYU by a mile. Steve Young. Very clear. I'm hoping to really get stumped by one of these. Now, the Colts one with Xavier Rhodes threw me off for a little bit just because I wasn't thinking about corners. I was thinking about quarterbacks. Let's see this one, though. We have Alabama. This is very recent. Drafted by the Dolphins. First round pick. Steelers, 2019 to present. Let's see. It's so odd that a player would only be on the team for 2 years and then still they have to guess the player for him and then goes to, this team. How would that happen? Well, it was a trade. Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded from the Dolphins to the Steelers, of course, went to Alabama, and he is the answer. All right, we got a giant here. It's going to be Jabrill Peppers, another situation where the player was traded. Started at Michigan, actually went to 2 high schools in New Jersey. I'm, of course, from New Jersey, if you guys didn't know. I live in Texas now. But went to Paramus Catholic and Don Bosco, I believe. He was such a big name in New Jersey at the time as for like the sick football players. Jabrill Peppers was an animal. Played corner actually in high school. Got recruited to Michigan. Was a return man, monster, and eventual safety. Kind of like a do-it-all guy for Michigan. Drafted by the Browns. First round pick. Traded to the Giants in basically the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. It was Odell back to Cleveland. And the Giants got Jabrill Peppers, a first-round pick that would turn into Dexter Lawrence, and a third-round pick that would turn into O'Shane Ximenez. And then basically, it was basically part of the same trade that sent Olivier Vernon and got Kevin Zeitler in return. But this is Jabrill Peppers. Very obvious one as well. This is a situation where I'm really hoping to be fooled. This one, I think, is a little bit harder. He was actually in the news recently. I just think gut instinct, Frank Clark. Michigan, Seahawks, was on the Chiefs Super Bowl team. Frank Clark. It is Frank Clark. North Dakota State, very few options once you start talking about North Dakota State. Eagles, Colts, Carson Wentz. Sure it is. Alabama, drafted by the Packers. Oh, Seahawks for only 1 year? Is this Fat Eddie? Is this Eddie Lacy? I think the time matches up with Alabama for a running back. Well, I guess not only for a running back, but it just matches up for Eddie Lacy at Alabama. Packers won Rookie of the Year. Did he ever play for the Seahawks? I think he did for that 1 year, right? Is this Fat Eddie? Is this Cheeseburger Eddie? It is Eddie Lacy. Kind of forgot about him for a moment, but again, like Alabama 2010 to 2012 matches, Packers those years. I guess I kind of forgot about him with the Seahawks, though, because he didn't play much of an impact and is out of the league like very quickly. That's the lifespan of a running back, though. Another good one. You can see the dreadlock there. South Carolina, Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, Stephon Gilmore, top 5 cornerback in the NFL. Even after a slightly down 2020 by his standards, still a really good player. And I think I'm going to have a video ranking some cornerbacks probably sometime this month, or within the next month, I should say. But yeah, Stephon Gilmore, yet to miss one. LSU, 2011 and 2013. Dolphins, Browns, Jarvis Landry. What was his catchphrase on Hard Knocks? Bless him, bless him. I'm like, praise Jesus. Couldn't remember what it is. This has to be Jarvis Landry, though, right? Sure is. Ooh, okay. ECU, 2004 to 2007. Played on the Titans for some time. Jets for 1 year. And then the Cardinals. Oh, I don't know this right away. ECU. Drafted by the Titans in 08. Pac-Man Jones? No, he was on the Bengals. I'm trying to think of the like dreadlocks too. Sean Green popped in my head for a minute, but I don't think it's Sean Green. Chris Ivory was on the Jets for longer. Oh, this is gonna be my first miss probably. I don't watch a whole lot of ECU football. I definitely don't know him from ECU. Titans 2008. Oh, Chris Johnson. What am I, an idiot? This is CJ2K. I was thinking of notable ECU players. Oh, this is, once you start to think of like, I thought of Sean Green and Chris Ivory, and I mean, Tim Hightower even entered my brain with the Cardinals. The timeline doesn't match up for him. This is CJ2K. Very obvious. First round pick in 2008. Man, almost had me with a softball. That's the problem, though. Sometimes you miss the easy ones because you overthink it, but that is Chris Johnson there. This is DeAndre Hopkins, same 2013 class, and he was picked like 27th overall by the Texans. I think the Vikings ended up, I think Cordero Patterson might have actually been just after him, but DeAndre Hopkins, 2010 to 2012, Texans, Cardinals last year, nuke, DeAndre Hopkins. I'll do three more. UConn, Cowboys, Dolphins, set the record for the broad jump, set the world record at the NFL Combine. This is Byron Jones. Not a whole lot of good UConn players to choose from, honestly. Like, I guess the only other real notable one that jumps to my mind, well, I mean, I guess there are more now that I think about it. I thought of Obi Melifonwood first, and then I thought of Donald Brown. I don't know if you guys even remember Donald Brown was a first-round pick of the Colts in 2009 out of UConn. He was also in like the New Jersey area. Another pretty big name. Went to RBC, I want to say, which is a big private school in New Jersey. I guess not too big, but a decently sized program for private school in New Jersey. I think this is, I don't know why I'm talking about Donald Brown. This is Byron Jones. Yeah, it's going to be Byron Jones. Now, I think George Springer, who is a Toronto Blue Jays outfielder, was on the Houston Astros. He went to UConn as a baseball player. So he's another notable one. This one is very easy as well, because they give you Central Michigan. They give you Wisconsin. Now, what two players played for two colleges like that? Played tight end for the Central Michigan Chippewas. Then played defensive end after being a walk-on for the Wisconsin Badgers. His brother also played for that team. Then the Texans forever. And then 2021 with the Cardinals, J.J. Watt. It is J.J. Watt. All right, last one. A&M, Dolphins, Titans. Am I going to get stumped on the last one? No one jumped to me right away. A&M 2008 to 2011. Okay. Then played on the Dolphins. Was it first round? Well, I guess not a first round pick, but was it a draft pick by the Dolphins in 2012? I don't remember that being a particularly strong draft class, but played for them for a while. And then the Titans from 2019 to present. Now, I thought of a name quickly, but it was Cameron Wake, and the timeline doesn't match up at all. He also didn't go to A&M, but he was Dolphins and then Titans, like pretty much along those same years. Cam Wake went to Penn State and then was, I think, picked up by the Giants on their offseason practice squad team. Didn't make the team. Went to the CFL. Dominated the CFL. It's not Cameron Wake. Who played on the Dolphins? Oh, Ryan Tannehill. Again, the picture's kind of weird, but yeah. Started off as a receiver at A&M, switched to quarterback, ended up being a first-round pick by the Dolphins, was there for a while, and then never really found his footing in Miami through injuries and poor coaching, and then ended up going to Tennessee and is a great fit for the offense and is really good. Ryan Tannehill is one of the most underrated players in the league probably because people think he just hands the ball off to Derrick Henry and that's it. He's really accurate. He's really smart with the football. Ryan Tannehill, supremely underrated. You don't think of him as, you know, this picture because he's not throwing the football. You think of a quarterback that had the ball in their hand. But this has to be Ryan Tannehill. I don't think anyone else fits, and it is Ryan Tannehill. But that is going to be the video. Completely dominated this. Would I have gotten the next one? Kansas State, Green Bay, Raiders in 2018. Jordy Nelson. Yeah, all right. I'm just kind of too good for these easy ones. And even some of them are, I guess, a little bit harder. But let me know how many of you guys missed out in the comment section below. I'm sure many of you did go perfect as well. Some of you probably forgot one here or there, or I said it too quickly. You didn't even have time to think. But let me know what you think in the comment section below about these types of videos. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This was kind of fun to make. Obviously, I kind of like ran through them pretty quickly. Peyton Manning. Some of them are just way too easy. And I wish they did it the way I've seen on some pages before, where they only give you one piece of information and you have to slide over and keep going over and over, trying to think about, who the player could be, because it's just way too easy when you have every single bit of information about the player. It's very, very obvious. But now this one I'm kind of struggling with. Temple in 2013, 2015. Muhammad Wilkerson, I think, kind of would have fit that. But I don't think he's on the Panthers. Is Muhammad Wilkerson even in the league still? Temple, Jets 2016 and 2019. Now on the Panthers. 2020 was on the Panthers last year. Well, now I got to think about this one. I'm outroing the video. Now I force myself into another one. Robbie Anderson. Took me a second to think about it. Robbie Anderson did go to Temple. Jets for his rookie contract and then signed with the Panthers. Robbie Anderson. Okay, now I can outro the video. Still went perfect. That is going to do it, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.
It's insane, I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah. Papa turn, taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speedbird's good.